Have you ever wanted to be so irresistible that people just can't get enough of you? For Simon, a struggling cologne salesman, that was the ultimate dream. His booth at the local flea market was a ghost town. Day after day, he'd watch people walk right past, completely ignoring the little bottles he'd so carefully arranged. He was invisible. Desperate for a change, for anything that would make people finally see him, he turned to the shadowy corners of the internet. He found it on the dark web, a listing for something called Apex. The description was vague, promising unparalleled allure. It was a long shot, but Simon was out of options. When the package arrived, it contained a small, sleek black atomizer. It was ice cold to the touch, almost unnaturally so. With a hesitant hand, he sprayed a tiny mist onto his wrist. The scent was unlike anything he'd ever encountered, sharp, musky, and utterly intoxicating. It was primal, electric. A spark of hope ignited within him. This had to be it. The next day, Simon returned to his booth, the scent of Apex clinging to him like a secret weapon. It didn't take long. A woman who had walked past him a dozen times before stopped dead in her tracks. But she wasn't looking at his colognes. Her eyes were locked on him, wide and mesmerized. Without even asking the price, she bought his entire remaining stock, emptying her wallet onto his table with trembling hands. For the first time, Simon felt a rush of power. He wasn't just a salesman anymore. He was a phenomenon. The success was explosive. Simon used Apex every day, and every day was a sellout. People didn't just buy his cologne. They flocked to him, desperate to be in his presence. His booth became the epicenter of the market, a whirlwind of eager customers. He'd sell his entire inventory in a matter of hours. His confidence, once shattered, soared to dizzying heights. He was no longer Simon the failure. He was Simon the genius, the man with the magic touch. He had finally become the person he always dreamed of being, desired, admired, and successful. But he was about to learn that some dreams are actually nightmares in disguise. The attention he was getting started to feel wrong. It wasn't just attraction anymore. It was a desperate, almost animalistic need. Customers would linger long after their purchase, their eyes glazed over, just to be near him. It was unnerving. The true horror of his new reality crashed down on him one afternoon. Victor, a rival salesman from a few booths down, had always been smug and dismissive. He started walking towards Simon's booth, probably to mock his sudden success. But then, Victor stopped. His sneer vanished, replaced by a look of stunned fixation. His eyes, wide and hungry, were locked on Simon. A strange transformation came over him. Victor began clawing at his own arms, scraping his skin as if trying to shed it, his face twisted in a silent, agonizing plea to get closer. Simon watched in pure terror as Victor, a man he knew, began weeping uncontrollably. It wasn't admiration, it was agony. Simon grabbed his cash box and fled the market, the sound of Victor's sobbing echoing in his ears. The terrifying truth dawned on him. Apex wasn't making him charming. It was turning him into a predator, and everyone around him into prey. Back in the safety of his apartment, Simon locked the sinister black atomizer away in a safe. He vowed never to use it again. He scrubbed his skin raw, trying to wash away the last lingering traces of the scent. He thought that would be the end of it. He was wrong. A few days later, his obsession-fueled clients began to find him. They showed up outside his building, not in droves, but one by one. They looked changed. They were pale, gaunt, their clothes hanging off their thin frames. But their eyes were the most terrifying part, fixed, unwavering, and focused solely on him, or rather, his apartment. They didn't want him. They wanted the scent. They craved it with a terrifying, drug-like dependency. He realized they were physically deteriorating, consumed by the chemical distress signal that Apex emitted. He was a vampire, and his product was their lifeblood slowly draining them away. Panicked, he found the contact for the dark web seller. He managed to get a hold of a glitchy, distorted voice that called itself the dealer. "What is this stuff?" Simon screamed into the phone. "It's killing them!" The dealer's voice crackled back, chillingly calm. Apex is the perfect scent, Simon. It makes you necessary. It makes them crave proximity. It's what you wanted, isn't it? The voice paused, letting the words hang in the air. But perfection requires a renewable source, Simon. You should have read the fine print. A cold dread washed over Simon. He slammed the phone down and scrambled to his safe, fumbling with the combination. He pulled out the tiny black atomizer. It was almost empty. He was running out. He couldn't leave his apartment. The desperate figures outside were a constant, grim reminder of what would happen if he did. He caught his reflection in the mirror and froze. His own skin was turning an unnatural, waxy pale, and then he saw them, small, dark dots spreading across his chest and arms like tiny black pores. As he stared in horror, a faint, musky mist began to ooze from them, the sharp, intoxicating scent of Apex. He was staring at the undeniable, soul-crushing truth. The cologne was never the product. He hadn't been selling a scent in a bottle. He had been marketing his own body as the lure. The source of Apex was him. The atomizer had just been a catalyst, a key that unlocked this horrifying change within his own biology. He tried to scrub the pores, to wash the scent away, but they were embedded in his skin. His frantic cleaning only seemed to make it worse, pushing the musky scent out faster now. He wasn't a salesman. He was a factory of addiction. Suddenly, a loud, rhythmic banging started on his apartment door. The voices outside were ragged, desperate, and growing stronger. "We need it, Simon. Just a little. We need the scent." He backed away from the door, clutching a towel to his chest in a futile attempt to stifle the aroma his own body was producing. He was trapped, forced into the role of a permanent hermit, a living chemical weapon whose very existence caused the slow, painful decay of anyone nearby. In a moment of desperation, he ran to his window and opened it just a crack, intending to yell for help. Below, on the street, stood one of his very first customers. The moment the fresh wave of his scent hit her, she looked up. Her face was a mask of primal, agonizing need. She collapsed to her knees, clawing at the pavement, trying to consume the very dust that might contain a molecule of his scent. Simon slammed the window shut, his body trembling as he sank to the floor. He was condemned to an eternity of isolation, a breathing plague of desire. He had achieved the perfection he so desperately craved. He was wanted by all, and in return, it had cost him the entire world. Thanks for watching our story unfold. If you enjoy tales that explore the darker side of ambition, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. We'll see you in the next one.